Hello Nigeria, hello Africa. You're watching Plus TV Africa and the program is Sports Business with Orufuo Ezaga. Today we have another bumper package for you, and all I can say to you now, as you know, if you're a regular watcher of the program, you know that over the next 45 to 50 minutes, we're going to be loading you with insights about sports business that could change the way you look at the industry and probably create an opportunity or two for you or your organization. Today we're going to be talking about sports conferences in Nigeria. And I have a guest in the studio with me whose organization is going to have staged yet another sports conference. And, one wonders, there's a lot of talk in town, just recently, about a couple of weeks ago, we had the African Sports Business Summit. Talk, talk, talk. Yeah, the sports industry is still struggling. All right, the domestic sports industry, that is still struggling. What do we need to do to move from talk to action? What do we need to do to drag in investors and fans so that sports can deliver on its staggering promise to Nigerians, not just here in Nigeria, but across the world? All right. So today in the studio with me is Mr. Desmond Okediden. Sorry about that. Okediden. He's the team lead for Business Days conferences, and he's the one who's going to be superintending Business's first sports business conference, slated for this month,
19th.
On the 19th of this month, somewhere on Lagos Island. He's going to give you all of the details. All right. Today, what I expect to hear is what this conference is going to be doing that's different from what other conferences have done, and how much they expect as a result from this conference in terms of progressing sports business in Nigeria. All right, welcome to the studio, Desmond.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Okay. Business Day, you guys, you're the business people, right?
Yes.
Business Day has been the leading business publication in Nigeria now for decades, perhaps. All right.
Correct.
So I'm assuming that you know the private sector well. You understand the way business people think and
Yes.
all of that. And there's been a dire need for the private sector, for us to win the private sector on board the sports business train, because the potential is really huge. Right. So, is that what this conference is about? Is it about trying to get the private sector involved or to get the public sector to step up? What's the whole point of your conference?
Okay. Thanks very much for having me. I would say it's an opportunity for me to be here on this platform to let our viewers know about sports and, of course, the business aspect of it. I think Africa as a continent, of course, they have, for the most, been on the receiving end of, they've been lagging behind on anything that has to do with innovations, technology, and as well as sport. So today is a fact that the world sport has about 600 billion, all right, in reserved to be tapped. And we know that Europe, for example, they are doing pretty well. Just the United Kingdom, for example, their football alone generates about 6 billion. Football, just one arm of sport, generates, should I say, over $6 billion, all right? And then the entire sport of it does about 40 billion, okay? And now let's come to Africa, all right, where we have South Africa, who seems to be, right, the leading country in terms of sports that generate they do overall sport, they generate approximately $6 billion of it. And if you check what is being left for Africa right now, it is still in the reserve. We have well over 80% that is yet to be tapped. And now we further come to Nigeria. Nigeria that has the youth population, all right? A country that has over 120, let's just say 120 million people, with over 60% of its population 25 years below, and we seem to be backbenchers when it has to do with sports and the business of sports. And this is the reason why you see a lot of our youth, they just want to start up, grassroots sport, and then their ultimate goal is to leave the country, where they believe that there is so much value, all right, for what they are able to bring. And now, in Nigeria, we let this go, all right? And now, it leaves us in a position where we lose sorely, all right? And what this Business Day Sports Conference is about is to change the narrative, all right? We feel that, we believe that the government and private sector, all right, and all the big players involved, they are really not looking keenly into this. This is an opportunity. This is something that can actually change the narrative for the most of Nigerian economy. All right, you can already see how well Europe is doing. All right, and if Europe actually generates nothing less than 200 billion, right, in sport, that tells you how much or how many of their youth is being employed. All right, so come to Nigeria, where we have the population, where we have the people. What is stopping us? What is the problem? Now, this is it. People barely look at the business aspect of it. There is so much money, there is so much resources in sports. One of the things we don't lack here is that we don't lack the human resources right now. Of course, we already have the youth population that's already established. Now, how do we convert this? How do we convert this into revenue generating machine, all right, for the country? All right. So
okay.
This is
okay. So that's where I'm particularly interested. You said in this part of the world we still see sports basically as entertainment, but sports is business, sports is commerce, sports is jobs, and all of that. All right. I think Nigerians understand that sports is, well, I mean, when I mean Nigerians, I'm talking about the elite Nigerians. That sports is business. I think the problem is they do not understand how to translate this potential that they see to real business gains. Do you understand? So who is going to do the education? Who is going to make them see this? Is that a bit like what your conference is trying to do?
So, okay, fine. So this is the reason the Business Day Media actually want to set up a sports conference, all right? So that we bring in experts, we bring in those who have the knowledge, who to come in, all right, and start preferring solutions to this problem. But on my own, right, there's a lot we need to do in terms of branding.
Okay.
Nigerian sports industry right now, the sector, it's not as bad as we think it is. All right. Now, if we go down grassroots, we'll still see that, all right, we have some structure. I'm not talking about physical structure now. We have structure in the minds of our youth that, okay, there is something here for me. I can come in and do my bid, and I believe that I can grow from here wherever it takes me. If it lands me a trophy within the country, it's fine. Of course, we know that their ultimate goal is to get out of the country, especially go to Europe. So now, where this leaves us? It leaves us with the fact that the stakeholders, both private and public sector, now have to come in and let these people know that it can actually be more than they think it is. It can give them more. Why do you think the likes of the Victor Osimhen and the Lookman, they want to go out today? I'm not just restricting this to football. But it is more than that. They believe that, okay, Nigeria provides them the opportunity where they can start and probably grow to an extent. And when they want to hit the peak of their career, they know that they are going abroad. What is left for us is to change their mindset and know that we can actually make it big here. So that's where we have the big players, private sector and public sector come in and rebrand the sport sector. Rebranding is what is lacking in this case right now. We rebrand it, make it known, and make it big. Pump money into it. Of course, we know that we have other things that could be restricting the industry, like infrastructure. All right, we have poor infrastructure. But over time, as Nigerians, we grow to accepting the fact that with our dilapidated infrastructure, we can still develop. That is the reason why you see that an average sport enthusiast or an athlete who just wants to do so well with what is available to him, the dilapidated infrastructure, they still do their best. They still come out to the point that they are known. But just that to amplify, to even make it further known, or to, let's just use the word blow, they now look to, going out of this country. All right? We don't want that. So branding is the first aspect for me. I know that a lot of speakers that we're bringing in, they have their various key points, all right, that they would want to let out, they want to let known, all right. But I believe branding is the first thing for us to do. The Nigerian sports industry is not so bad. Of course, not too well, but the Nigerian Football League, for example, generates $20 million every year. It can be more. There's so much more that we're losing.
The Nigerian League generates 20 million.
20 million yearly.
Okay, because I have estimates that are a bit much lower than that. Because are we talking revenue or total impact?
Total impact.
Okay.
Total impact, and it doesn't really look too well for a country that has the youth population. Come on, what are we doing?
Okay, the National Sports Commission has a new leader. Sports generally in the country has some sort of new leadership. The ministry is gone. Now we have the National Sports Commission, and the National Sports Commission is supposed to provide better technical leadership. They understand sports. We have been made to believe much more than the civil servants or the politicians, all right? So I imagine that some of these things would change. I know, for instance, that the NSC, that's the Sports Commission, is the NSC leader, Shehu Diko,
yes,
is looking to hit about 3% of GDP. One sports contributes 3%
yes,
to our GDP. Is this something that you guys have considered? Do you think this is a realistic target? And do you think, have you considered it? Is it a realistic target?
It is. It is. For a country like Nigeria, with all the natural resources and the potential, all right, to make this work. We have had this problem over time that I can say that both the government, let's just start with the government, the public sector, they really do not believe that the sports sector can actually do very well. There's a lack of belief in the system. And if you have this coming from the government, what do you expect from the private organizations or private entities? All right.
But then now we have the government that's trying to drive sports.
Okay, so we have had that over time.
Yeah.
And so what we see is that we have sport ministers or those who represent the Nigerian sport industry. They come and they say all manners of things and how well it can grow and all of that, but they don't put these things to action, all right? Where action is lacking, you can't have anything done. So this is a problem we'll be facing over time. So that's the reason for this conference. We're bringing in the big players. And you just talked about Shehu Diko. Shehu Diko is one of the people that we're expecting to come on board. We already have Amajupinik. for this event.
Confirmed.
Yes, confirmed. We already have Honorable Benga Elegbeleye, who is the president of National NNPL, PFL. Yes.
NPL.
So we already have him. We already have Emeka Yadike, who is one of our keynote speakers. All right. So these are people. These are, individuals who know the sector so well, the in and out of it, and they know how best we can drive this, all right, to economic glory. All right, so that's the reason why we're bringing them in. I gave my 2 cents on how best I believe we can start by changing the entire narrative, which is start by branding. But more than that, there are other things that should come on board. So that's the reason why we're bringing these people. And there's also we still have sports analysts, all right, who are still coming on board. So we have I am Aisha Falode, who is currently the president of Women Football Association of Nigeria. So to start with, we have a very rich panel. And we don't just want to just have this, you just come and just say what it is that you need to say, and we just leave it there. That's the reason why we're having sports organizations and the telecommunication organizations partner with us, so that we have other private individuals to come on board, so that we are not just coming to talk and leave it there. No, we want to see how we can translate whatever it is that we discuss into action, so that we start seeing the sector change.
Okay, you just called some names now, yeah? You called Amaju Pinnick, you
Yes.
called Sheudiko,
Yes.
you called Aisha Falode.
Yes.
These are the same people that have been in the industry for a bit. And usually these are the same people that end up talking about what needs to be done. What I would like to personally contribute or see is there are Nigerians today who are investing in our sports. There's the Remo Stars owner, Mr. Kunle Shoname, who owns Remo Stars, and he also supports different sporting activities in the country, not just football. And he's done a great job. Nobody can contest that, yeah? We also have guys like there's Abubakar Lawal.
Okay.
Abubakar Lawal is the CEO of GTI.
Oh.
GTI is the investment banking company.
Okay.
That has invested over ₦1 billion in the Nigeria Premier Football League.
Yes.
And then we also have guys like Shola Akinlade that founded Sporting Lagos, a young guy, founded Sporting Lagos as a way to give back to society and all of that. These are impressive. These are guys who are swimming against the tide. As you have said, people still don't see sports as a huge commercial enterprise. And these guys are risking it all. They're risking their resources. Don't we need to hear from these guys? And don't we need to hear what their challenges are and what they feel they need and how, basically I'm just...
Okay, so it is not as if we don't have people who still believe in the system or who still believe in the sector.
Okay.
Because you can't just have anyone throwing their resources without expecting or without believing that is going to yield return. All right? That's the business mindset first. And we applaud those people in whatever capacity they have been able to see sport through as far as Nigeria is concerned. So these are some of the people that we're looking at, all right? I would say that we have our panels, all right, with the names I just mentioned. I would like to mention the other two, but this doesn't mean that we cannot bring these people in, all right, because it's very, very important for someone who invests so much, all right, into the sector, and then they would also like an opportunity to air their challenge. So that's fantastic, because it is best that we first identify whatever the problem is before we know how to start fixing it. And now we have these people. Kudos to them. I appreciate their effort, all right, in the industry. But you see, things will continue this way if we don't have a singular, let me not say body, but if we don't have that sort of I always would like to put this on the government. All right, because if the government is not involved to giving their support, you won't see the private sector coming in full. All right, so if we don't have a singular body to annex, whatever these individuals they have contributed or invested into the sector, you won't see the sports sector thrive. So that is what this Business Day Sports Conference is all about. Yeah, we know that there's a lot of talks, have gone. People say this and say that, but at the end of the day, it remains the same. But we're looking at it changing. We're not just coming to talk. We're looking at, I also, in my own small capacity, sport industry, if you ask me, okay, why is our entertainment industry thriving today? Why is it that the big Afrobeat artists on the continent are Nigerians? You want to mention top 5, then you know that you're mentioning the Davido, the Wizkid, the Burna, the Rema, and maybe you pick someone from South Africa to fill up that space. It means there is something that is done in the entertainment sector, especially the music, all right? And we start seeing other sectors like comedy still coming up big time. But sports that is even projected to do much more, we're lagging this seriously. So that is the reason why we're bringing in this experts. So we don't mind. The panel is still open, and gradually we're still doing our homework. Even though we have confirmed speakers, still doing our homework. Those who to bring in, and we would really appreciate them coming on board, telling us the issues that you're facing, because it's important to first identify the problems. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the with due respect, you're a much younger person, yeah? So, and that's where we have a bit of a challenge with our sports, yeah? The young people are not there, right? And you need the young fans to create a sort of energy in the sporting arena that makes the fan that's watching that experience feel like there's something special happening, and I want to be a part of that. And so young Nigerians are a lost audience. We need to find them, yeah? We need to win them back.
Yeah, win them back.
Because growing up in this country, we had a totally different experience. Sports was huge for us, and it was domestic sports. And domestic sports is where the commerce is, right? So now the best you can find is that they are with the Super Eagles.
Yeah.
And after that, they go to their clubs in Europe and all of that. And the sad part is that I don't think they understand the business implications, or do you understand? Or,
yes.
Because if they could understand that they're using their numbers to bolster business for other people, rather than grow their own industry,
yes.
Perhaps they'll have a different take. Do you have any representatives in your conference that would address the youth segment? Maybe bring in a young speaker that is doing brilliantly in domestic sports.
Yeah, grassroots
and to
sports.
try and, to try and reach out to, because maybe young talking to young would cut faster than. Do you have any such? Is any attention to youth? Is there any attention to women's sports, for instance? Do you have stuff like that?
Okay, so in the course of setting up this conference, we have actually met with a number of people who are so keenly interested in the sports industry. And we met a very young guy, all right, who was a part of the team from the Lagos State Commission. We had a meeting in the office.
The sports commission.
Yes. So he runs grassroots sport. So we might not necessarily say, oh, you come on board, but we have a number of them, all right, especially those who have contributed so much blood and sweat into this, all right. I would say that they are the life wire of Nigerian sport. Those interested in grassroots sports, catch them young, all right. So we have them in mind. And not that we are still proposing. We have been in talks and we've been contacting them, and so definitely we're bringing them on board. So I'd like to say this again, that sports is nothing without a young person. I mean, if you have the young population of Nigeria backing out, they're not interested. It's not even very much on their social media handles and their social media whatever it is that they follow. If it's just the European sports, that they are only interested in, I mean, that is a big blow to us. All right. So the Business Day Sport Conference is set to unravel holistically the problems the sports sector faces today. And I mentioned here that one of the issues here is our infrastructure. But I would like to say, well, I stand to be corrected. That is not the biggest problem. The biggest problem here is we don't have people who believe in the system, and those who feel that the Nigerian sports industry is not something they would rather try. Okay, we have a situation even within Africa where you have some of our potentials here. They go to South Africa. They play for the Amazulu for FC. They play for Sunshine and the rest, and they abandon our local league here. And I'm not just restricting this to football, though, but that's just an example. So it's just to, first of all, create an awareness that there are a lot we're doing. I'd like to chip this in. So there was a time, I can't pick an exact year to it, but this should be like some 5-7 years ago, when the South African government, they called the South African internationals to come home, that they are going to pay them, if not exactly what they receive in Europe, if not exactly, but it will be more. That's where we started to see people like Pencil come home, people like, what's his name? A lot of them coming back, because there's a lot of incentive now involved. We want to bring you home. That's how they're able to grow their sports. That's the reason why South Africa, till, I don't want to put a timeline to it, but till another 1 year, 2 years, they'll still be at the top as far as African sport is concerned. We want to change that. They don't have the population.
Okay. All right. It's a good thing you talked about the population. The thing with African sports is the fact that, with Nigeria, the exciting thing about Nigeria is this. You talked about the music industry.
Yes.
And how Nigerians are at the very top of this industry. But, that's where the strength of Nigeria is. I was talking to a young boy and I said to him, being a Nigerian youth is something that a Ghanaian can only dream about. What do I mean? When you come up with an idea, you want to get something done, you have 230 million people behind you, 230 million people, all right? The Ghanaian has 35 million people. The South African has 64 million people, all right? The Egyptian has 107 million people.
Million, yeah.
If you look at Nigeria, the strength we have is crazy. The numbers we have is crazy. But we have to put the numbers to use. Those numbers in today's sports world can be monetized. All right? And until we understand how to monetize our numbers, we'll always be grabbing the short end of the stick. We're going to go on a short break right now, and when we return, the business continues. Welcome back. You're watching Sports Business with Orufuo Ezaga, and the station is Plus TV Africa. We've been talking about sports business, and we've been talking about the upcoming Business Day Sports Conference. And it's something that we want as many people in Nigeria to be a part of as possible. I'm sure that's what you want, Desmond. Yes. All right, so in the studio with me is Desmond Okediden. I'm sorry, Desmond. I need to, it's a bit, but Okediden is
Okediden, yes.
Okediden, and he's been talking about the Business Day Sports Conference. The people that are going to be there, we have names like Amaju Pinnick, we have Emeka Nyadike, we have Honorable Elegbeleye, and all of we have Aisha Falade, and you know those ones are going to be there. All right, but here's the thing: you're going to do your sports conference now. Just about 2 weeks ago, there was the Africa Sports Business Summit. Everybody's doing, a lot of guys are doing sports business thing. Everybody's doing it separately. You know, I'm not seeing one overlap to the other, you know, so I don't see business, they overlap to the Africa Sports Summit and vice versa. I don't see the other, you know, it's as if everybody's doing their own. Do you understand? Why don't you guys just come together and do 1 or 2 big sports conferences every year? I mean, business is a big brand.
Yes.
You know, I mean, why don't you do a really big partnership?
There is no harm in collaborating, and of course, when forces join hands, it even amplifies it the more. But it is also appreciated for those who have really done something like this before. You see, the current state of Nigerian sports, the sports industry as of now, needs so much publicity. We need to really hit so much on the issues that we face to see how these things can be, these challenges can be resolved, can be really checked. And so it will eventually get to that part of collaboration, because we want this to get to every nook and cranny, not just within the continent, but the globe at large. All right? We need to be able to communicate to the world that Africa, all right, and Nigeria in particular, is a base for sport.
Yeah.
Not just the fact that we have the population or the talent, but the resources, and we can generate so much revenue from it.
Okay.
And just to chip this in, one of those former British or English international, Jamie Carragher, made a statement, a very demeaning statement about the AFCON, and he said that it is not big enough. And then, you know, there's the British media. You know, they were really truthful to themselves. They know that Africans make up a good percentage of whatever it is that they enjoy as far as sports is concerned. Let's just even restrict this to the Premier League. All right, we have a lot of Nigerians who are in the both playing for the those who are in EPL right now, those who are in the division level. So why don't we look inward? Why don't we look to what we have and see how we can, you know, correct a lot of the wrongs that we see within the sector? How do we start achieving this? Is when we really, you know, amplify our voice, all right, enough to the world at large to see that we can actually change the narrative, all right, in the sports sector.
I think
gradually we're getting there.
I think, if you ask me, the world understands that Nigeria is a huge sport opportunity, sports commercial opportunity. The world understands that. The question is, do the Nigerians themselves understand that? And I'll give you an example. Shehu Diko, the NSC boss, says that his target is to get sports to contribute 3% to GDP, all right? The Tinubu administration that seems to be showing some interest in building the sports industry says they want to achieve a $1 trillion GDP by, I think, 2031 or 20 or something. Yeah? $1 trillion. So if, for instance, sports is able to deliver 3% of GDP in the context of the Nigerian situation, we'll be looking at an industry of like $30 billion as being 3% of $1 trillion. Yeah?
Yes.
I think that's about, my maths is
Yes.
terrible, by the way, but I think that's about $30 billion. So that's the sort of industry that we're potentially looking at or potentially toying with in this case. Does the business community understand that? And is it that, like you said earlier, they just don't want to, they understand it, but they don't want to get in and get burnt or get soiled, as the case may be? What's your take on that?
So it is very simple. To drive an economy, all right, and also to make it yield bountiful results for you, what do? Is to create incentives, things that will bring investors in, both local and foreign. All right. A lot of people still know that sport in Nigeria has potentials, so much potentials to even surpass the 3% contribution to the GDP. But do you want a situation where an investor comes in, okay, I have this $1 million that I believe I can invest into the sport industry, and at the end of the year, it doesn't even get up to, probably doesn't even get up to, $500,000. No investor will want to run at loss. All right.
But hang on, sorry, I cut you. If an investor is coming into the Nigerian sports space, it's still a totally, we're still at the embryonic stage of development. So I imagine that what we're looking for now are investors with patient capital. So you're not just going to come in and just expect that you're going to have immediate profitability. But what caught me from what you have just said is the fact that we're looking for investors, right? And last year or late 2023, I'm not too sure, I think it was last year, Tony Elumelu, the
CEO of
the chairman of HED, one of the biggest
Yeah.
investors in this country, came out to say that he was considering investing in a Nigerian club side. Do you know, that interest, nobody knows anything about it anymore. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest investors. If Tony Elumelu says he wants to do, I mean, I imagine that if I was in the sports industry, if I was managing, I would jump the league, I would probably send a team to him and say,
Yes.
what's going on? So I feel that's not happening. I feel like the sports sector is not engaging the corporate sector in the right way. Do you understand? Maybe this is something that you guys can look at. Maybe you can get an expert to
Yes.
talk about that. I don't know.
I think, one of the things that is happening, thank God you mentioned that there was a sport conference held sometime last month. And a couple of them, have also come, previously, in the previous years and stuff. So when we keep amplifying the need, all right, for the sports sector to be critically looked into, when we keep doing this, it is definitely going to yield a result. Now, for somebody like Tony Elumelu to say something like that, and I believe this is not a dream of now. Probably this has been in the plan for a couple of years. But has he really put his hands on it? Has he really said, okay, the time has come? Well, he's still trying to draw his map.
To be fair,
he's still trying to look at it.
To be fair, what he said was that his team was going to examine the viability of getting. But the point I personally would want to make is when you have an investor, Tony Elumelu is a different league when it comes to the caliber of investors that are available to us locally. All right, it's different. So if a man like that says he wants to put some money in your sport, you better chase him. Do you understand? Because all kinds of people are chasing him for his time and his resources. That's one. But before we continue, there's a slide I have that talks about the impact of sports in the EU, and I would like for us to look at this just so that people can. So when we're talking about sport generating 3% of GDP, they might think we're just throwing figures.
Yes.
But the slide is it talks. This is it. The economic impact of sports in the EU. All right. If you look at this, you'd find that in a study that was done in 2021, what they found was that sports contributed 12 to. I mean, this is the EU region now. Sports contributed about 12.12% to the GDP,
Yes.
and even more to jobs, which was 2.72%. Now, what they also found was that the highest performing country in the EU was Austria. In the case of Austria, sports contributed 4.12% to GDP,
Yeah.
and 5.63%
Yeah.
to jobs. The weakest performing country was Ireland, where sports contributed 1.03% to GDP and 1.68% to jobs. So the point here is this: in the countries where, in all countries where you have progressive economies, sports is a huge deal. Even in Africa, when you look at it, there's South Africa that gets the giant chunk of all of what comes to Africa in terms of sports revenue. And then there's North Africa, which you could argue that other than South Africa is the most progressive region. Sport is a big deal for these people. So somebody needs to tell us in Nigeria that investing in sports is not a favor, right?
It's not.
It is building an environment where your business can thrive even more than it's doing today.
It even goes beyond that. Sports also helps to check the health status of anyone. Today, I think it's almost like a decree in China that every human being, every person, all right, must given 30 minutes to exercising every morning, all right. And China, I really don't know how much of their young population will still have, but I think this is targeted at their middle age and further advanced age, the 70s, the 80s, and stuff like that. So in Nigeria, all right, what we have, or let's just say in Africa in general, so what we have is that we have our young population who are not really thinking in that light, all right? All they know is that they just want to, the best of them, they just want to go to college and land a good job, all right? And now their thoughts are not even aligned to the sports industry right now. So we can actually come from different angles, all right? If we feel that we don't want to bring in sports that, you get involved in basketball, you do lawn tennis, you do this and do that. Why don't we come from the fitness aspect? Sport is wide. We haven't even talked about gaming. We haven't even talked about gaming, and e-gaming is wide. All right? I don't really have the figures at the top of my head. I would have mentioned how much is in the African reserve for gaming. It's wide. It goes beyond just the physical, right? The physical sports and stuff. So these countries, all right, having this much, all right, contributing to their GDP, they know that it is not just restricted to, what sports brings to us, all right, as to us as a country. It also helps in checking the health of their country people. So it goes,
that's actually a very strong point. And the point being that there are different sides to sports commerce. But some countries split it basically into two different segments. There's sports, which is elite sports competition. And then there's the health, sports for health, all right? Where you now have, like you said in China, and it happens in many countries where people just wake up in the morning, they understand that they need to be active, to exercise, to be healthier. And then they get involved in some sport or the other. They jog, they walk, but to do that, they buy canvas shoes, they buy sports merchandise, they buy all of that. You would find that it's just as big an industry as elite sports competition is. Do you understand?
Yes.
So, these are things that I expect that you guys must unearth. Not everybody can be an elite athlete, but we all can contribute. We all can be a part. It has to be in our culture to be sports oriented?
So we believe that our speakers and our facilitators, they have a lot of work to do as far as this conference is concerned, because we have a whole, I'm sorry, but a whole pack of an issue facing the sports sector. And so we have a lot of things to really talk about, issues to really face and prefer solutions to them. So yes, so basically that is the reason for the Business Day Sport Conference. And if we're having this year, and we had one, there was one just last month, I would still say that what Business Day is bringing this year might not really be enough. So
are you going to have another?
Yeah, it is. It is. We have a yearly edition for it, but because of the importance and the importance of sport as it affects Nigeria as at now, there could be not it won't be restricted to Business Day events now, because we hold sports conference every once in a year. So we could subsequently, within that same year, we could partner with other big players and other, so as to make this one even much more, amplified and heard. Yeah, because that is what the African sport need right now. So it's
What sort of, what about the brands? Oh, okay, so absolutely. You've talked about the federations, or past federation leaders, people who are involved in the industry, like Amaju Pinnick, maybe we still need to talk to investors to bring more investors aboard. But what about the brands, the people that spend the money, the people that we need their money to sustain sports in Nigeria, also, to grow sports in Nigeria, the brands, the TV networks, or the media networks, as the case may be. Do you have guys coming in from any one of these? Are you looking at talking to those people now, or it's a future thing?
So that's the essence of being seated here right now. Well, kudos to the MTN, kudos to the Cadbury, kudos to the Access, because these organizations have really contributed so much to sponsoring and to keeping sports alive in Nigeria. So we are actually looking at all of these people, the players, especially those within the betting firm and all of that, so to come in and partner. All right, we are very, very much open to partnership, and it is very important, because Business Day, as much as we want to set up this event and make it, look top and big, we really can't do it all by ourselves. So we need partners. Those who have a name, in the sports sector, not just those who have a name, those who already, we still need those, all right, who, one way or the other, they support the industry, all right? So to come in, you have a number of them, even iFitness, they're there, the likes of Bet Nigeria, the betting organizations. Of course, these are the people that we're looking at. And of course, the media. Definitely. The media has so much to do, a lot of work to do as far as sports is concerned. All right? They need to be so much light beamed in the industry right now. We need them, and we need media partnership too.
You need to talk to the media, because the media now spends 90% of its time and space promoting foreign sports. It doesn't make it makes no business or commercial sense. So you guys talk to them. I have two more slides I'll just quickly look at, and then we'll call it a wrap, because the first is there are brands in Nigeria that are already supporting sports. And before that, I want to show that it's a slide that already came up, but I want to show that, in the West, in North America and Europe, you find that sports takes up about 70% of all sponsorships. 70%. All right? And and this is a report, even though it's from 2015, right? I think that the difference is not really much now. As a matter of fact, there was a time when sports used to take up 90%. As of 1984, sports was taking up 90% of all sponsorship. So like your music festivals and all of arts and all of that took just 10% at the time. Now, in 2015, it was 70% to sports.
70%, yeah.
And the others, now because you now have global warming,
yes.
LGBT rights, all those kind of things, you know, and epidemics or pandemics and all of that. So other, you know, so that's how important sports is. Nigerian brands need to invest more in sports. If you want to build a healthy country and a healthy environment for your sports, for your organization to thrive, you need to invest more in sports. And that's why I feel like, you know, some organizations are doing it already. Organizations like Access Bank with the Lagos Marathon. You have Milo that's been doing Milo sport basketball for a long time.
Yes.
There's
the MTN who does basketball.
There's MTN Champs and the like, you know. So there are those there's Zenith Bank that does tennis, they do basketball, they do all kinds of sports. We need to shine the light on these brands that are investing in domestic sports. Those of us in the media, including your organization, Business Day, shine the light on these people so that they can do a lot more. We all need the sports industry to stand up in this country to provide jobs for our children and to provide general wealth for us as a country. So Desmond, your last word, and then we'll call it a wrap.
So I agree with you. Before I agree with you. Before there's a rush, all right, into a rush of investment into the sports sector from various private organizations and stuff, all right. There has to be, of course, that enabling environment created by the government. So yes, just to wrap up, the Business Day Sports Conference is just slated for 19th of March. And of course, we are fast putting things together, and we know that this conference is going to achieve its purpose, right, which is to really amplify the need for investment into the sports sector. And yes, so basically, and
where is it happening?
Yeah, it's happening on the island, Lagos Oriental Hotel.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
All right, that's been it from Desmond. The team lead Business Day conferences. We've been talking about the upcoming Business Day Sports Conference, and they're going to be examining the opportunities in sports for Nigerians and how we need to progress the industry from just talk to real action. On my part, if you watch this program regularly, our focus here is on the domestic sports scene, on the local scene, because that's where the commerce truly is. That's where the jobs are created. And that's where we want the jobs to be created for our children and for our fellow countrymen. All right? That's been the program this week. Next week, we're going to come back again with some other important topic and important guest. And I hope I'll implore you to make it a date. Every Tuesday, 3 to 4 p.m., Plus TV Africa, Sports Business with Orufuo Ezaga. Until we meet again, this is me, Orufuo, saying, be productive, be good, and stay safe.